Let me thank you for sharing your expertise and comprehensive knowledge regarding the issue. My question is about Ukraine and Georgia and the role of NATO-Russian relations in this context. There is quite widespread opinion that despite the fact that both Ukraine and Georgia are solid followers of Western values, and they are quite ready and prepared to meet NATO requirements and join the alliance. Final say still remains in the hands of Russian leaders and Russian officials. Hence, according to this opinion, our fate depends largely based on the NATO-Russia relations and the attitudes of NATO towards Russia and vice versa. Could you share your expert opinion regarding this type of perspective? Thank you.
Thank you for this very good question, which is, of course, which addresses the central topic for Ukraine and for Georgia. And I believe this is actually the central topic of European security in general, not only for the two countries, but the most important topic. We have NATO as a defensive alliance, which guarantees security for its members. We have Russia, and then we have countries in between. And the question is, how can security for all the countries be guaranteed, whether they have a huge, strong military with nuclear weapons, or they're a small country with limited military capacities. NATO enlargement took place step by step under principles that NATO had formulated in 1995. NATO made it clear that third countries do not have a veto power, and of course, this is fully our position. NATO also wrote that for each accession, of course, based on the wish of a country to become a member of NATO, NATO would see, does this accession improve the security of the country itself? Does it improve the security of the alliance? And does it improve the security of Europe as a whole? Now here you have this idea of cooperative security. We should not only look at our own interests, but at security for the entire continent. The successive enlargements that took place, and there have been some recently, Montenegro a couple of years ago, this was while I served in Russia, and even more recently, Albania and Northern Macedonia became NATO members. This was not approved by Russia. In fact, Russia had very strong opposition to this, and they reacted very strongly even to the accession of Montenegro to NATO, as if this was somehow a threat to Russia. And you know that Montenegro is a very beautiful but also very small country by the Adriatic, and no Russian interests or security could be threatened in any way. So NATO does not ask Russia for its consent before new members are accepted. But in 2008, we have seen that the steps towards NATO membership, NATO at this time at the Bucharest summit declared that Ukraine and Georgia will be members of NATO at some point. These steps taken towards membership met with a very violent and aggressive reaction from Russia. This, I believe, is the story behind the 2008 war, leaving aside all the details about tensions around South Asia and such. This is the type of tension that can be created when great powers have decided that they want a conflict. The field we are talking about, we are working in, is called security policy. So decisions have to be taken with the highest degree of responsibility. We have to look at what is good for the security of everybody, and this limits our room for maneuver. We are watching the situation. Nothing in history is cast in stone and remains forever. And I believe that at some point, a situation will arise when NATO membership for Ukraine and for Georgia will become possible. At that point, it may be that we will look at a completely different security situation in Europe, and that we will find good and acceptable consensual ways of guaranteeing security in a cooperative way.